My girlfriend called me the office housewife in front of my boss, and 6 executives trying to sabotage my chances for a promotion. We were both competing for. She had no idea that I had just accepted the position while she's laughing. All right, Reddit. I'm going to be straight with you. What happened at that company party last spring still makes me laugh in a way that might say terrible things about me. But when your girlfriend tries to tank your career, you're allowed to enjoy watching karma do its thing. I'm Peter, 34, male, senior analyst at a mid-sized firm in Chicago. 6 years of grinding, learning the systems, building relationships, proving myself. The kind of slow climb where you show up early, stay late when it matters, and let your work do the talking. Then there's Karina, 31, specialist in my department, been dating for 2 years. We kept it professional at work, separate lunches during the week, but everyone knew we were together. Here's what I didn't mention. My older brother Zed had been calling this disaster for 8 months. Zed's a firefighter, not corporate drama, and he'd met Karina exactly 3 times before declaring her the kind of person who'd criticize how you're drowning. Last Thanksgiving, she'd spent 20 minutes explaining to my mom why her potato recipe was fine for home cooking, but not restaurant quality. My mom, who'd been making those potatoes for 30 years, just smiled and refilled glasses. Zed pulled me aside later and said, "That woman talks to you like you're her assistant, not her boyfriend. She's just particular." I'd said, "Yeah, particularly awful." I'd laughed it off then, wasn't laughing now. Anyways, 3 months back, a project lead spot opened up. 25 grand raise, actual office with walls, managing the new client acquisition team. Real deal territory. Both of us threw our hats in. That's when things got interesting. Karina started with the comments. Little digs about how I needed to be more aggressive in meetings, how successful people in our industry had an edge I was missing, how being nice only gets you so far. I figured she was stressed about the competition, projecting her own anxiety onto me, but it escalated. She'd correct me in front of colleagues, interrupt my presentations with helpful suggestions that made me look unprepared. Started CCing our boss Holt on emails, where she'd point out minor errors in my work, stuff that could have been handled in Slack, but she needed the paper trail showing me as incompetent. One morning, she sent Hall an email about a formatting inconsistency in my quarterly report. The inconsistency? I'd used 11-point font instead of 12-point in one appendix. She'd spent time measuring my font sizes. Classic undermining. I'm not the loudest guy in the room. Never have been. I do solid work, treat people with respect, and assume that's enough. Turns out that made me weak in her eyes. 2 weeks before the party, I finished this massive presentation for a potential client. 3 weeks of research, custom analytics models, and a strategic framework that Hall called some of the best work he'd seen from anyone on the team. I actually felt good about my chances for once. Karina was there when he said it. Her smile had all the warmth of a corporate compliance email. That night at home, she barely spoke to me, just kept scrolling through her phone with this look on her face like she'd bitten into expired mayonnaise. When I asked if she was okay, she said, "Just tired of watching mediocrity get praised. Should have seen it coming then." Friday night, annual company party, 45 people, all the executives, regional directors, the entire food chain that determines whether you climb or plateau. The kind of event where one good impression can fast-track you and one bad moment can define you for years. We arrived together around 7. Everything seemed normal at first. Standard networking, talking quarterly targets with some colleagues, laughing at executive jokes. But Karina was getting louder than usual, doing this performative touching my arm thing when talking to senior management like she was marking territory. I stuck to water early on, call it intuition or just pattern recognition. But something felt off. Karina gets chatty when she's like this, not fun chatty, the kind where she's 3 moves ahead in whatever game she's playing. Around 9, we ended up in this circle with Hole, Rebecca from HR, and 6 other executives. Someone mentioned their spouse helping with household projects, and the conversation drifted to relationships and who does what at home. That's when Karina decided to go for the kill shot. Oh, Peter's elite at laundry cycles and meal prep, basically the office housewife. But those Whitmore charts everyone loved, my edits, my frameworks, he just handles the formatting. Dead silence. I watched Holt's face go carefully blank. Rebecca shifted her weight. 2 executives exchanged glances. One guy actually stepped back. Those 5 seconds of silence felt like an hour. I could hear someone's phone buzzing across the room, could see the server wiping down glasses near the window. I managed to smile and say something like, "Well, I did nail the recycling system," which got a few merciful laughs. But inside, I was doing math. She'd just publicly questioned my competence, implied plagiarism, and humiliated me in front of my boss, HR, and the executive team that would decide both our futures. In corporate terms, she'd launched a nuke at my credibility, and she was pleased about it. I excused myself to the bathroom. I locked myself in a stall and just stood there, phone in hand, processing what had happened. My phone buzzed. Text from Hollow. "Hey, can you give me an answer on the project lead position by Monday? Need to make the announcement soon." I stared at that message for 30 seconds. Then another text came through, this one from Zed. "How's the party? Karina behaving, or is she explaining how everyone's doing their jobs wrong?" I typed back, "She just called me incompetent in front of my boss and half the executive team." His response was instant. "What are you doing in the bathroom? Get back out there and smile, like nothing happened. We'll talk tomorrow." He was right. But first, I had a decision to make. I'd been going back and forth on this promotion for weeks. Part of me wanted it, the validation, the money, the chance to finally lead. But another part had been hesitant because of Karina. I didn't want to create problems in our relationship, didn't want the resentment. Sitting in that bathroom stall, I realized something. She'd already made her choice. She'd decided winning this promotion was worth destroying me publicly, worth humiliating me in front of people who controlled both our careers. I typed back to Holt, "I accept. Looking forward to the challenge." Hit send. Then I opened my work email and composed a new message to myself. Subject line memo. Company party incident. May 17th. At approximately 9:15 p.m., during the annual company party at the downtown venue in the presence of Hol Chen, VP, Rebecca Park, HR Director, and 6 other executives whose names I can provide upon request, Karina Hayes made several public statements, including that I am incompetent at leading client meetings, that she practically wrote my Whitmore presentation, implying plagiarism, or that I took credit for her work, multiple references to my domestic activities in a context that questioned my professional competence. A statement that she handles the big boy calls, while implying I am incapable, multiple witnesses present. Statements made during discussion about the project lead position we are both pursuing. Sent to Cell for contemporaneous documentation purposes. Time-stamped, dated, witnesses noted, filed. I washed my hands, checked my reflection, and walked back out to the party. The group had moved on to some other topic. Karina caught my eye and smiled. She thought she'd won, thought she'd successfully positioned herself as the capable one and me as the domesticated sidekick. I grabbed water and made small talk for another hour, laughed at appropriate moments, shook hands with senior management, talked quarterly projections like nothing happened. Hull caught me near the exit around 10:30. That was an interesting comment earlier. Karina has opinions about everything. He didn't smile. "I'll see you Monday morning. We should talk. Looking forward to it." We drove home around midnight. Karina was riding high, kept talking about what a great party it was, how well she'd connected with the executives, how much they seemed to appreciate her sense of humor. "I think I made a real impression tonight," she said as we pulled into our apartment complex. Hall seemed engaged when I was talking. "Did you see that?" "Yeah, I saw this promotion is so close. I've been positioning myself for this for months. The timing is perfect. My research on the Whitmore account alone should seal it." "Your research?" "Well, our research, but you know what I mean. The framework, the competitive analysis, that's my specialty." I didn't respond, just parked the car and grabbed my jacket from the back seat. "You're being weird," she said as we walked to the elevator. "Just tired. Don't be mad about the housewife thing. It was a joke. Everyone thought it was funny." "Did they?" "You're too sensitive sometimes. This industry requires thick skin." The elevator doors closed. We rode up to the 8th floor in silence. Saturday and Sunday crawled by. I didn't tell her about accepting the promotion, didn't give her any indication that Monday morning would be different. We did the normal weekend routine. She went out with friends. Saturday afternoon, I hit the gym and meal prepped. Hey, I'm good at it. Sunday morning, Zed came over with coffee. He took one look at me and said, "So, you accepted the promotion. When are you telling her?" "Monday, when they announced it to the department." "I like it." He sipped his coffee. "You know she's going to lose it, right?" "Probably. You got a backup plan for when she goes nuclear? I'm documenting everything. Zed nodded slowly. You're finally learning. About time you stopped letting people walk on you. I don't let people walk on me. You let her critique Mom's potatoes for 20 minutes. That was different. It really wasn't. Sunday night, she was scrolling through her phone on the couch. You've been quiet this weekend. Are you okay? Just thinking about work, the promotion. Yeah. Even if you don't get it, it's not the end of the world. You're solid at what you do. There'll be other opportunities. The condescension was so subtle, but I heard it clearly. The implication that I was good enough for mid-tier, but not leadership material. Sure, I said. Other opportunities. I went to bed knowing that in about 12 hours, her entire world was going to shift. Got to work at 7:30 Monday morning. Email from Rebecca, waiting in my inbox. Could I come to her office at 8:15 before the daily department meeting? Rebecca led me to a small conference room with the blinds closed. Peter, she said, sliding a folder across the table. Hall and the executive team have decided we'd like to offer you the project lead position, even though I'd already accepted via text. Hearing it officially hit different $25,000 raise, real office team of 8 reporting to me. Immediate start date. We'll announce this to the department in about 15 minutes, Rebecca continued. Hall wanted you to know first so you could prepare for questions about your vision. We handled paperwork. I signed forms, reviewed the new organization chart, discussed transition timeline. The whole time I was thinking about Karina sitting at her desk 20 feet away, completely unaware that her attempted career assassination had backfired. I walked back to my desk at 8:25, kept my face neutral. Karina glanced up. Everything okay? You were in there a while. You'll find out in 5 minutes. Her eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? Exactly what I said. At exactly 8:30, Hall called for everyone's attention. Our department has about 20 people. They all gathered around. Karina stood right next to me. I could feel the tension radiating off her. I want to thank everyone who expressed interest in the project lead position, Holt began. After careful evaluation of qualifications, leadership potential, and strategic vision, I'm pleased to announce that Peter Blackwood will be taking on this role, effective immediately. The reaction rippled through the room. People congratulated me. Some looked genuinely surprised. A few exchanged glances between Karina and me, clearly sensing the drama. But I was watching Karina's face. She went through surprise, confusion, anger, forced smile, and then this look like she just realized she'd screwed up badly. I watched her do the math. Friday night humiliation. Monday morning announcement. The timeline wasn't complicated. She recovered fast, though. Congratulations, babe, she said loud enough for everyone to hear, even managed a hug. So proud. But her eyes were furious. She couldn't hide it. The morning was meetings, logistics with Hall, introduction with my new team, setting up my office, everything moving fast, and I think Hall wanted it that way. No time for awkwardness to fester. Around 11, my computer pinged. Slack DM from Karina. Enjoy the corner daycare. Try not to color outside the lines. I stared at that message for a few seconds. She was actually doubling down, after publicly humiliating me, after losing the promotion, after watching me get announced. She was taking another shot. I didn't respond. Just took a screenshot, saved it to a new folder on my desktop titled Documentation, and kept working. 20 minutes later, our department's public Slack channel lit up. Karina had posted a meme, one of those expectation versus reality formats. Expectation, confident executive. Reality, a guy in an apron. Caption, new leadership be like. 3 people reacted with laughing emojis. Then silence as everyone realized what she'd just done. Posted mockery of a newly announced promotion in a public channel where HR, Hall, and senior management could all see it. Rebecca from HR was in that channel. The message disappeared 30 seconds later. Deleted, but I'd already grabbed the screenshot and forwarded it to my personal email. Still didn't respond. Just bookmarked, forwarded both screenshots for backup, and moved on with setting up my new office. By noon, the entire department knew something was off. You could feel it, the energy, when you know something's about to break. I had lunch with my buddy Chris from accounting. We'd started at the company around the same time, grabbed coffee occasionally after work. He was one of those naturally hilarious guys who made spreadsheet jokes land like stand-up comedy. So, Chris said, biting into his sandwich, Karina's handling this well. Define well. She told 3 different people this morning that you only got promoted because you're non-threatening to Hall's ego. Also said something about the executive team preferring yes men over actual strategists. She's spiraling, man. Everyone can see it." He paused. "For what it's worth, you deserve this promotion. Your Whitmore work was legitimately excellent." "Thanks. Although I have to ask, what's your plan here? You two still dating, or is that situation evolving?" "It's evolving rapidly toward extinction." "Good, because between you and me, she was always kind of exhausting." "That was exactly it. Constant evaluation. Constant subtle criticism disguised as helpfulness." Holt stopped by my new office around 2:00, closed the glass door, sat down. "I'm aware there's some tension with Karina. Are we going to have a problem?" "No problem. I'll maintain professionalism. If she has concerns, she should use proper channels." "Good answer." He stood up. "The decision was unanimous. Your work speaks for itself." After he left, I sat there thinking about how 3 days ago she was mocking my leadership potential to my boss, and now she was posting public mockery while I stayed professionally untouchable. That evening at home was our first real fight in months. "You're being vindictive," she snapped, "using your promotion to punish me for a joke. Your joke showed me exactly what you think of my abilities. So now you're going to lord this over me? Make my work life miserable? I'm going to do my job, manage my team professionally, and recuse myself from any decisions involving you. That's not vindictive. That's appropriate." She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "Who even are you right now?" "The guy who doesn't let people publicly destroy his credibility anymore." This is about Friday. I was making conversation. Executives appreciate honesty." "You called me incompetent and accused me of plagiarism. That's sabotage." "You take everything personally. That's why you don't advance." I laughed. "I advanced. You didn't, and you're calling me dramatic." She grabbed her jacket and keys. "I'm staying at Nicole's tonight. I need space from whatever this is." "Sure, give Nicole my best." We lived in the same apartment, but the dynamic had completely shifted. She was being extra careful about what she said when she was there. And I was enjoying the quiet confidence that comes from finally being in a position where my work matters more than anyone's opinion. The first month as project lead was basically me proving everyone right who bet on me and making everyone who doubted me question their judgment. My first major move was restructuring the client pitch process. The old system had one person developing everything alone, which meant inconsistent quality and zero collaboration. I implemented a team approach, research, analytics, and creative working together from day one with clear checkpoints and shared accountability. The results showed up fast. 2 weeks in, we landed a mid-sized retail company looking to expand their market presence. Holt pulled me aside afterward and said, "This is exactly what I was hoping for when we promoted you." Karina was in the room taking notes as part of the support team. The look on her face was worth the 2 years of dating. My new assistant, Alexa, finished her transfer from Seattle and turned out to be exactly what I needed. Mid-40s, 15 years of executive assistant experience, ran my calendar like a military operation. "Mr. Blackwood has a full schedule today," became her signature line. Alexa was one of those people who could shut down drama with a single raised eyebrow. First day on the job, she looked at the seating chart, looked at Karina's desk location, looked at me, and said, "I assume we're maintaining strict professional boundaries with Miss Hayes." "Correct assumption." "Excellent. That makes my job easier." But while things were going well professionally, I was also quietly building something else. That documentation folder on my desktop was growing. I was keeping records. Dates, times, witnesses, screenshots, meeting notes. Week 3. Karina showed up at Alexa's desk without an appointment. "Is Peter available?" Alexa's face didn't change. "Mr. Blackwood has meetings until 3. Would you like to schedule something?" "I just need 5 minutes." "I'll check if he's available." Through the glass walls, half the department was watching. Our drama had become free entertainment. Alexa buzzed me. "Karina Hayes requesting time, no appointment." "Send her in." She walked into my office, and I gestured to the chair across from my desk. She sat in the supplicant position in the office she'd wanted. "What can I do for you?" "The Whitmore account. I've been handling the preliminary research. I should present next week." Whitmore was big. Potential 7-figure contract. It would normally go to someone at her level, but now it was my call. "I'll review the research and make a determination based on client needs and team readiness." "That's it? I've put 3 weeks into this. And I appreciate the work, but assignments are made based on strategic fit, not just effort invested." She looked like she wanted to argue, but stopped herself. "So, what do I need to do?" "Schedule a formal meeting through Alexa. We'll discuss project assignments then." "You're really going to make me schedule an appointment? I'm your girlfriend." "In this office, you're a team member requesting an assignment. Those are the proper channels." Her jaw tightened. "I'll schedule with Alexa." She left without another word. Half the department pretended not to watch her walk back to her desk. An hour later, Alexa came in. Karina requested a meeting for Tuesday. Should I confirm? Confirm it. And Alexa, start keeping a log of all interactions between my office and Karina. Just dates, times, purposes, neutral documentation. She nodded. That Tuesday meeting was tense but professional. I reviewed Karina's research. It was solid and agreed she could present one analytic section if we won the initial pitch. Fair decision based on merit, not personal feelings. Thank you, she said, but it came out brittle. You do good work, Karina. That hasn't changed. After she left, I added notes to my documentation folder. Meeting date, topic discussed, decision made, rationale. Meanwhile, things at home were deteriorating. She'd moved most of her stuff to Nicole's place, only came back to our apartment for clothes and necessities. We were technically still together, but functionally separated. Chris and I grabbed coffee after work on Thursday. So when are you officially ending it? He asked. Waiting for her to make the move. Cleaner that way. You're playing chess while she's playing checkers. It's beautiful to watch. I'm not playing anything, just documenting reality. Sure, and I'm not enjoying watching karma in action. He grinned. She told you about the elevator incident yesterday? No, what happened? She got in the elevator with Hull and Rebecca, apparently spent the entire ride complaining about your micromanagement style and how you're threatened by capable women. Rebecca just stood there, but her face was doing that thing where you know someone's filing away information. She complained about me to the VP and HR director, trapped in an elevator while they were forced to listen. Yup. Genius. I added that to my mental file. By week 6, my team had crushed every target Holt cared about. 3 major new clients, 30% improvement in pitch conversion rates, new client onboarding system that cut admin time in half. And that documentation folder, it was getting thicker. Zed came over Saturday morning with breakfast sandwiches. We sat on my balcony watching traffic below. You look better, he said. Less like someone slowly crushing your soul. When's she moving out officially? The lease is up in 2 months. She'll probably be gone before then. And you're good with that? Better than good. Should have ended this a year ago. Yeah, well, better late than never. He took a bite of his sandwich. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. You finally grew a backbone. I always had a backbone. You had a wishbone. There's a difference. Week 7 is when things started getting interesting. We had a big Whitmore pre-read scheduled. Critical meeting, where we'd review our approach with their VP before the formal pitch. I'd asked Karina to compile the competitive analysis data and attach it to the shared deck by close of business Monday. Tuesday morning, I opened the deck for final review. The competitive analysis slides were there, but the supporting data file wasn't attached. I pinged Karina. The Whitmore data file is missing from the shared folder. Her response came fast. I sent that to Alexa yesterday for formatting. Did she not attach it? I walked to Alexa's desk. Did you receive Whitmore data from Karina yesterday? She pulled up her email and calendar logs. No, nothing received. No scheduled file transfer. I went back to my office and pulled up the shared folder's version history. The data file had never been uploaded. Karina had created the placeholder slides but never attached the actual research. Now here's the thing. This could have been an honest mistake. People forget attachments. It happens. But the immediate deflection to blame Alexa instead of owning it, that was a mistake. I called an emergency team meeting. We're missing critical data for this afternoon's pre-read. I need 2 people to pull comparable data from our research database. We have 4 hours. The team rallied. We pulled it together. The pre-read went fine. Client seemed engaged. But afterward, I sat down and documented everything with a note. Potential workflow issue or blame deflection. Monitoring. That afternoon, Karina sent an email. She CC'd Hull, Rebecca, and 3 other senior leaders. Subject line, concerns about process and communication. The email was long, detailed, and basically accused my office of creating communication barriers that prevented her from doing her job effectively. She claimed Alexa was gatekeeping access to me, that my scheduling requirements were unnecessarily bureaucratic, that the team structure I'd implemented was siloing information and making collaboration difficult. It was obvious she was building a paper trail, claiming I was making her job harder because of our personal issues. I responded with the most boring procedural response imaginable. Thank you for sharing your concerns. Let's schedule a meeting to discuss specific process improvements. Please work with Alexa to find a time that works for everyone on this email chain. Rebecca responded within an hour. I'd like to join this discussion as well. Karina, please coordinate with Alexa for a time that includes all relevant parties. The meeting got scheduled for the following Thursday. Conference room. Me. Karina. Whole Rebecca. 2 other managers. Official witnesses everywhere. But before that meeting could happen, Whitmore happened. We were in the bullpen area Thursday morning. Karina was talking to 2 other team members about the upcoming formal Whitmore pitch. I was walking past on my way to a different meeting when I heard her voice carrying across the room. Honestly, half of Peter's presentation deck is material I developed. He's good at formatting, but the actual thinking, that's mine. Everyone knows he'd be lost without someone doing the real work. I stopped walking. So did 3 other people in the area, including one of the directors who reported to Hull. She kept going. I mean, he's great at keeping the trains running on time, but actual client strategy, not his strength. He got promoted because he doesn't threaten anyone. Hull wanted someone manageable. The director, Kevin, made eye contact with me, raised his eyebrows. I just nodded and kept walking to my meeting. But inside I was smiling, because Karina had just made 2 critical mistakes. She claimed credit for my work in front of witnesses. She criticized her supervisor's competence in a public workspace, the kind of stuff HR takes very seriously. That afternoon, I got an email from Kevin. Hey, caught an odd comment this morning, Whitmore Strategy Ownership. I want to loop in on the actual development process to make sure everyone's contributions are properly credited. So, a director just heard potential plagiarism claims and wanted to go on record getting clarity. I responded with a detailed breakdown of the Whitmore project development. Who did what? When? All backed by shared folders, edit histories, meeting notes, email timestamps. Then I added Kevin's original email and my response to the documentation folder. That night, I met Zed for dinner at a Mexican place near his station. He was still in uniform, just off a shift. You look happy, he said, disturbing levels of happy. She's imploding publicly. Good, about time. He took a sip. You know what I realized? She spent 2 years making you feel like you weren't good enough. Now she's finding out exactly how good you actually are. Karma's thorough. The Thursday meeting about process concerns came and went. Karina brought up her communication concerns. I calmly explained the scheduling system, why it existed, so I could actually do my job without constant interruptions, and how it applied equally to everyone. Hull pointed out that my team's performance metrics had improved significantly since the new structure was implemented. Rebecca noted that Alexa's scheduling system was actually corporate best practice for executive assistants. The meeting ended with Karina looking frustrated and me looking reasonable. But the pattern was building, and more importantly, it was being documented by people other than just me. It was becoming company record. That weekend, Karina texted me, "We need to talk." I ignored it. She texted again Sunday morning. "I'm moving the rest of my stuff out this week." I replied, "Fine, let me know when you need the key back." 2 years over with the text exchange about apartment keys. Zed called it progress, I called it relief. Week 10 is when Karina made the mistake that ended everything. We were 3 days out from the formal Whitmore pitch. I'd sent the final deck to the client for their review with a lockdown notice. Standard protocol. No changes allowed. Prevents last-minute chaos or unauthorized edits. Tuesday morning, the client sent feedback. They loved 90% of it, but had questions about one analytic slide, the one Karina had presented during our earlier meeting. I pulled up the deck to review their note and noticed something weird. The slide had been edited Monday night at 11:40 p.m. after the lockdown. I checked the version history. Karina had accessed the deck and changed 3 numbers on her slide. Changed them from accurate data to slightly more impressive-looking figures. Not dramatic changes, but in a 7-figure enterprise pitch, that's fraud. I took screenshots. The version history, the timestamp, the original numbers, the edited false numbers. Then I sent a message to Hull and Rebecca. Found post-lockdown edits to Whitmore deck. Incorrect data introduced after client review began. Recommend we verify all numbers before final presentation. An hour later, I was in Rebecca's office with Hall. The 3 of us reviewed the version history together. "This is concerning," Rebecca said. "HR language 4, someone is about to have a very bad day." "Could it have been an accident?" Hall asked. "Maybe she didn't realize the deck was locked." I pulled up the email I'd sent to the entire team Monday afternoon. Subject line, "Whitmore deck locked. No further edits." Karina had replied to it with, "Understood." Rebecca closed the folder. Not an accident. She looked at Hall. "This is the 3rd documented incident involving Karina and this project. The missing file that was blamed on Alexa, the public claims about strategy ownership, and now unauthorized edits with false data." Hall nodded slowly. "Pattern of behavior." "Exactly. I'll need to review everything formally, Rebecca continued, but this is escalating beyond performance issues into policy violations. They thanked me for catching it and said they'd handle the rest. I went back to my office knowing that somewhere in the building, an HR file was being opened. Chris stopped by around lunch. Did Karina really edit locked client documents? News travels fast. She's cooked. Everyone knows it. Pause. Everyone but her, apparently. The Whitmore pitch went forward Thursday without Karina. I presented the entire deck myself, with the original accurate numbers. The client asked smart questions. We had clean, confident answers. We won the account. 7 figures. Biggest win of the quarter. Hall sent a company-wide email praising the team. My name was first on the list. Karina's wasn't mentioned. At all. Zed called that night. Heard you landed Whitmore. Congratulations. Thanks. So when's she getting fired? Not my department. But soon, right? Probably. Good. You deserve better than someone who tries to climb over you. But that wasn't the breaking point. That came 3 days later. Friday afternoon, IT flagged unusual activity on Karina's laptop. She'd exported the Whitmore Analytics spreadsheet, the one containing confidential client data, to a personal Google Drive account. In our company, that's a violation of 6 different policies. Client data never, ever leaves the secure system. I notified Rebecca automatically. Rebecca pulled the logs. Timestamp file name, file size, destination account, user credentials. Monday morning, Karina was called into a conference room. Small room. Rebecca. Karina's manager, Rachel. A security compliance officer. I wasn't there, but multiple people told me it lasted 7 minutes. Karina, we're ending your employment effective immediately for violations of company security policy and data handling procedures. That was it. No speeches, no negotiation. Security collected her badge and laptop, walked her to her desk to collect personal items under supervision. The succulent she'd bought last year stayed on the desk. Her badge did not make it past security. She was escorted to the parking garage. The whole thing took 20 minutes. I was in my office working on a Q3 forecast. Didn't see her leave. Just got a message from Alexa at 11 o'clock. Karina Hayes' calendar has been disabled. Her desk is being cleared. Thought you should know. I nodded and went back to my forecast. Corporate life is cold, but predictable. Word spread fast. In these environments, it always does. By lunch, the entire department knew. By 1 p.m., people were discussing policy violations like they were reading crime scene reports. I didn't comment, didn't smirk, didn't gloat. When asked, I said, I'm not involved in personnel decisions, and changed the subject. Chris showed up at my office around 2. You good? Yeah, fine. That had to be weird, watching her get walked out. Didn't watch, was working. Damn, he said, cold. That evening, Hall stopped by my office. You handled this situation with remarkable professionalism. I know it couldn't have been easy, given your personal relationship. The personal relationship ended the moment she tried to damage my reputation. After that, it was just business. Hall nodded, pleased. Well, your business judgment has been solid throughout. That's why I'm recommending you for a special project the executive team is developing. What kind of project? Regional director role. New office we're opening in Austin. It would be a significant step up. Interested? I thought about it for 3 seconds. Very interested. Good. I'll set up some calls. Could be effective in about 3 months. After he left, I sat in my office looking out at the Chicago skyline. 10 weeks ago, she'd called me a housewife in front of my boss. Now she was gone. I had the promotion. And there was a path to something even bigger. I called Zed on my way home. She got fired. Finally, what for? Security violations, exported client data. Man, that's stupid even for her. Yeah. How do you feel? Honestly, like a weight lifted. Good. Now go celebrate properly. I did. Steakhouse. Rebuy. Beer. Watched a basketball game I didn't care about. Best dinner I'd had in months. The next 3 months moved fast. I completed Whitmore implementation and transitioned the account before moving. Client was thrilled. Referred 2 more companies. My team expanded to 12. We implemented 3 new protocols corporate decided to roll out company-wide. The regional director interviews went well. You managed a difficult transition with your predecessor for this role, one executive said. She meant Karina. That showed leadership maturity we value. They offered me the position 6 weeks later. Regional director for the new Austin office. 40% raise. 5 teams across 3 offices. Company car. Relocation package. I accepted immediately. My last day in Chicago was bittersweet. Conference room. Cake. Speeches. Alexa hugged me. You're a good boss. They're lucky to have you in Austin. The move happened fast. Got a house, backyard, home office, garage space for the car I'd always wanted. New city, new chapter. 3 months into Austin, I was leading a meeting about Q4 targets when my phone buzzed. Email. Subject line, reaching out. Karina. I read it during the break. She congratulated me on my success, said she was rebuilding at a consulting firm, said she knew she'd messed up, hoped I was doing well. No real apology, just a vague acknowledgement. I thought about responding for 1 second. Then I archived the email and went back to the meeting. The housewife comment that was supposed to define my career, it ended up being the best motivation I ever got. Karma is patient, but it is thorough.